All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Litchfield Energy Committee meeting of Thursday, June 20th. Would you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Okay, now we'll do roll call of members, starting with you, John.
John Brunel, Selectman Liaison, or Rep.
Fred French, customer.
Kim
Citizen Rep. Excuse me.
Kim Kleiner, Town Administrator.
Sam Terrell, Chair. And we have with us today, would you like to introduce yourself?
Erin Aldonis, Community Solar Platform.
Thank you. Well, and welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yep. So we will start off with, on our agenda, we're going to approve the minutes from the March 21st, 2024 meeting. So did everyone get a chance to read the minutes? And are there any comments?
So I'm gonna have to abstain because I
Yeah.
wasn't part of the committee at the time, so
Yeah, so then we can't approve.
I would
now.
table them, yeah.
Okay, so we'll table the minutes from March 21st until next time. And so then we'll just get right into it. Our next item is the net metering presentation. So as soon as you're ready, go right ahead.
I am ready. So I sent over a proposal earlier based on the data that you guys had sent over to me. And so it was based on about 300,000 kilowatt hours. So the way that I do it is I would set aside enough solar panels in one of our facilities to produce the same amount that you consume annually. Okay? And so those savings represent full offset of your consumption. Okay? So the way the state has designed the program is that when the solar produces energy, it's going to be metered, and the utility will add your share of production to your electric bill every month as an on-bill credit to what you owe to Eversource. And then about 30 days later, the solar farm is going to invoice you for 80% of whatever that credit was. Okay, so if the electric bill, was $1,000 and your share of the solar farm produced $1,000 worth of credit in a perfect world, then you would keep $200 of that credit for free, $0 to Eversource that month, and $800 to the solar farm. So that's just a very simple example. It doesn't usually happen like that. Usually it covers the supply and then maybe a little more, and then you always have like some tax and fees that you see Eversource. But it does reduce what you owe to them, and you pay a portion to the solar farm at a discounted rate. The discount in this case would be 20%, which is the largest discount for this program. Are you guys getting a lot of feedback with my voice thing?
A little bit, but not really. No, we can hear you.
Okay, I don't know if it's my end. A headset handy.
Are you hearing yourself in a delay?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's distracting. Yeah.
As long as you don't hear it, that's fine with me. Okay, and now are you guys doing the power aggregation as well?
We are doing community power. So
Okay,
it was
okay,
approved
great.
by the voters in March. Obviously because of the Eversource rates being so low, they haven't gone to bid yet. We're expected to go to bid sometime late this month, early next month.
Okay.
And then hopefully kick off by October 1st.
It looked like you guys were paying almost 10 cents a kilowatt hour, but I'm guessing from other municipalities that I've spoken with, that your new rate with aggregation is going to be close to about 8 cents a kilowatt hour. Does that sound right?
Yes.
We hope.
That's what we hope.
Wonderful. I hope that too, 'cause that's a great rate. So this would be an additional 20% off of the pound for whatever portion of it solar produces that month. You know, in the summertime, you'll have higher credits, solar because there's more sun hours, and then you're gonna be lower. But let's say, you know, on average throughout the year, it should reduce that rate by 5%.
So Eversource has those credits and we don't pay Eversource? We pay the net metering? Is that?
So it's the state of New Hampshire has designed this to be a dual program. So this is not our program, we're just one of the companies facilitating it, I suppose. So you would get your bill from Eversource Electric minus whatever the solar farm produced in credits. So if the electric $1,000 and it produces $500 worth of credits, then you owe $500 to Eversource and $400 to solar farm. 20% savings on the credits. Okay. If it produces, you know, $900 worth of credits, then you only pay $100 to Eversource. So in other words, whatever the solar farm produces that month, it's going to reduce your bill by that amount. And then that portion of the bill that got reduced, pay back to the solar farm at 80%.
Do we have to calculate that?
What's
Do
that?
we calculate that, or is that calculated for us? I see. That's part of the program.
Power. And then they handle all the credits on your utility bill, so it all comes through the utility. Eversource will put it on your bill. And then the solar farm, my company, we will then get that same meter read that the utility got, and we will invoice you for 80% of whatever they gave you.
Got it.
And
Thank you.
so where are these solar farms?
So they're gonna be in all different areas. I can tell you real quick where a few of them are going to be.
Is it the state, within the state?
Oh, yeah. We have one in Winchester, I don't necessarily know what Sanborn, Lancaster,
New Ipswich?
Columbia.
I think there was one.
And those all currently exist?
No, they're being built. They're going to be built. No,
Yeah, I
I
think
don't
there's
have one in, I'm not building out in Ipswich. It's not to say someone else isn't. I don't have one in that town.
Okay, they're being built, and so that's all in process, or is it required
Yeah,
that?
so the land has been selected, so leases are going into place to get that land done. So we're doing it a little bit different. It's like it's the opposite of the field and real. The people come. We're more finding, okay, who wants it, and then let's build it. We don't want to have all these farms drivers.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you need to get subscribers.
How long is the contract?
Well, it's a 20-year contract.
20.
No, it's a 20-year contract, yes, but it doesn't cost anything to be a member or a subscriber in the solar farm. It is a free program where it doesn't cost anything to subscribe, you don't have to maintain anything, there's no ongoing fees. But it is a 20-year contract, yeah. If you're looking for something less than 20 years, you may be able to do that, but I would be a 20% savings, you probably have to be lower, somewhere closer to 12% discount on maybe a 10-year contract, something to that effect. Because there's more risk to have to replace it down the road.
Yeah. So how much interest are you seeing, and how much do you need to move forward?
So we have quite a bit of interest. What we're coming up against is a lot of towns and power aggregation, which is great, but they're only doing one vote at a time. So they've sort of said, okay, we're gonna vote on power aggregation, this summer, and then we're gonna work on the next project in the fall. So we've been getting a lot of that sort of feedback where they want to do both, but they've already their feet the aggregation, so they're figuring that out first, and then figuring out after. But we do have a couple applications that have subscribed. One of them being town of Sam Borton. They have the solar farm in their backyard. They are a main subscriber, and they're doing power aggregation, so they're getting incredible discounts.
So, and I hate to ask this, but how many other companies are doing this, Aaron?
I don't actually know the answer to that. I know of one other competitor that we have because we go up against them in all sorts of states, and I have a lot of guys up there working, and I know that there is at least one other competitor, but I can tell you that their discount's only 10%, ours is 20%. There's probably well over 2 people doing this, us and the other competitor, but I don't know.
And you're based out of Colorado?
We are, yeah.
How many
But
other
I'm a
states?
Southerner, if that counts for anything.
Where?
I was
Always.
born and raised in Massachusetts.
That always counts for something. So how many other states are you in?
Oh gosh, we're probably in 17 states. So we do a lot of work in Northeast and tons of solar farms and customers and municipalities. In Massachusetts, we have a bunch in New York, Maryland, Maine.
Vermont?
I don't think I have any in Vermont. No, Illinois, New Jersey, South Carolina, Texas.
Wow.
We get a lot. Yeah. We have a lot, but I would say the majority are in the North, which is ironic because the Northeast doesn't get as much sun as the rest of us.
Yeah.
Very big solar folks up there really appreciate.
Yeah, so what is the size of these fields? Or I guess what would be the estimated size of the field if we were to move forward for our town?
So you would be a partial subscriber, so you would
Right.
have enough capacity to have an entire field. So the minimum field size is about a megawatt. And a megawatt, depending on the panels we use and the angle of the panels and such. They'll probably produce like 1.5 million kilowatt hours. So that's well over what we would need. So you guys would share a farm with someone else. I could put you in Sam Morton's farm and share a farm with them. It makes no difference. We have multiple subscribers in all of our farms. And we say, okay, Litchfield has, 22% of the farm, so give them 22% of the credits on their everyone. That sort of thing. So you guys wouldn't have your own farm, you piggyback on top of another farm. But you don't own it anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
It's a subscriber in that.
Well, I'm just wondering what the land effect is. How much basically acreage is the farm, or our portion of the farm.
Yeah, they typically take a few acres of land. I don't know the specifics on that farm, but I think it's a good one to join up on because it's going to be built first. So if it was something you're interested in, you could probably get in on one of those. Well, maybe. You might be able to. I have one other locality that owns that farm too. So you might be able to get in that one. Otherwise, I would just layer you into another one.
And you say it's about a megawatt for the whole field?
The minimum size of a megawatt, the 2 solar farms that I have in that town is, I think I have a 3 megawatt and a 2.7 megawatt, something to that effect. But
And
then
that's
if I was to from scratch, the minimum system size would be 1 megawatt.
And that's the max capacity.
And the maximum facility size would be 5 megawatts, and those are programmable.
Well, I mean, when you say the field is 1 megawatt,
Yeah.
that's the maximum that it can output if it's the sunniest day, constantly.
I see what you mean, so
Yeah.
I'll give you some actual numbers here, so these are not gonna be perfect, because I don't know exactly what panels I'm gonna use in there, but a 1 megawatt. So a 1 megawatt field would probably produce about 1.5 kilowatt hours. So it's more than what you only need about 3. So I would never give you an entire megawatt. Okay, I would only subscribe you to what you could use. Wouldn't make sense to give you more than you need.
Yeah, but what I mean is if we're operating at 100% efficiency, you're getting 1 megawatt, right? Like, there's gonna be weeks where it's rainy and cloudy and you're not gonna get a megawatt out of it. So what I'm leading into is
I see what you're saying, yes.
how often,
So 1 megawatt field will produce annually about 1.5 million kilowatt hours, and that's based on sun hours, it's based on weather in the area,
okay,
rainy days, cloudy days, snowy days, potential snow coverage that might be on there for a day before sun comes up, that sort of stuff. So we take all that we take all those factors into play when we come up with the production numbers.
okay.
Yeah, sorry, I misunderstood what you were asking.
No, that's okay, it's all good information.
And so who performs the maintenance? Your company is maintaining these?
We take care of
Structures?
it, yeah. We have a group that goes out and takes care of them. So what happens is, we have monitoring systems in all the solar farms. So if we notice there's an unusual dip in production, we send something out.
And how is the company paid back for their investing into the field?
Yeah. How do we make money? Yeah.
Yeah.
So Community Solar Platform, we are the management and acquisition company for the solar facilities. And the owner, or the project owner of these solar facilities is a company called Hampshire, and they are a large, terrific solar developer. So they will be owners and the developer of the project. They make money, the utility purchasing the power from them, essentially. And then we make money because project owner pays us a monthly management fee. That's how everything makes money.
So can you,
There's all stuff that the project owner can take as well.
okay, so I'm just a little confused. Can you kind of go over that one more time? So let me understand. You guys manage the facility, but you don't own any of the assets.
We don't. Community Solar Platform, all our business does is we do management and acquisition services. And we work with multiple developers, but this particular developer is one of our larger developers. We do tons and tons of projects with them in all different states. And they have selected us to be their partner in New Hampshire.
Okay, and so when you say acquisition services, you're acquiring clients, towns, customers, and you're managing what?
All the credits that come through, so any type of invoicing that would have to go out, we manage the facilities production, so if we see something kind of funky in the production going on, then we would reach out to our developer as well as the operations and maintenance crew and say, hey, can you go take a look at this facility, production's been down for a day, something funny's going on over there. And you never know what it could be. It could be rodents and cables, or I've seen all sorts of wacky stuff, or who knows, right? So we just send it out, check it out, make sure everything's on the up and up, we get it fixed, we get back with that.
So is there a service charge with that, or is that part of the program?
No
It's all
service
inclusive?
charge. There's no cost to you at all. But you're also not getting 100% of it, right? If you were to build your own solar farm, say, behind the library or something,
Right.
you get 100% of those benefits, but it would also probably cost you $3-4 million to build it. You can't do
Maintain
it,
it.
take the credit.
Yeah.
You're only getting 20% of the benefit, not 100%. So the cost, it's just a free program for the state. So you don't have to pay anything for maintenance or upkeep or anything. And if something happens and the facility ceases to exist, if a barista comes through and wipes it out, then you just go back to paying the regular utility bill. You don't owe anything for downtime or a cost to put it back up. That's on us.
And yeah, so what kind of insurance do you guys have in those sorts of situations? Or the owner, I guess, of the solar field.
We will get paid as long as there's something managed. So if this is wiped out, then we don't.
So the real owners probably have some sort of extreme weather insurance.
Oh gosh, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
yeah. So if I back up a little bit, so we used to be in the business of owning, developing, we did it all soup to nuts in the community solar space, we've been doing it since 2009. We pulled out of that, I would say, 4 or so years ago, and now we only do management acquisitions. It was sort of one of those things where we couldn't do everything to everyone, so we just made the most, and what we're the best at, and we kept going with that. So we only manage and find subscribers at this point. We no longer own any assets.
Okay. So, just going back through. So the company you've partnered with buys all the solar panels and does all the groundwork, installation, sets up all the systems, and then basically contracts you guys to acquire the clients and then manage the system once it's in place.
You have it exactly correct, yep.
Okay. So they make money from the energy produced from the solar panels. They sell it to Eversource,
Yes.
and then Eversource pays them for the energy at a particular rate, and then they give you, and then the owner of the field gives you guys a fee for managing the field.
Right. Yep.
Okay.
And then every field community solar farm, this type of setup requires subscribers. So if they were to build these farms and had no subscriber, they wouldn't be getting paid anything.
Right.
Okay, so they have to have a subscriber. So essentially, folks like yourself, almost as a, I don't know how to say it simply, as a thank you for subscribing, we do 20% of the benefit for free.
So once you sign up, how long does it take to tie the whole package together? If,
So
as a startup,
it's 12 months to be honest.
I see.
Yeah, if I can get you in this particular farm, you'll get it a little bit faster, but I already have someone that can aid you to it. And if that's the case, then I would plan on about 12 months, and you'll probably get that with everyone who you speak to.
Okay.
Probably anywhere between 9 to 10 months to build them and go through the filing.
Yeah.
And the
makes sense.
utility and the state and stuff.
But you're exclusive, so, meaning, we're subscribing for all of our usage. We could not benefit from another solar field as well.
No, you wouldn't be able to double dip. You can't subscribe the same power twice. You can do aggregation and layer on top of solar, but you couldn't put two community solar systems on top of one another now. Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah, I'm thinking if we could do enough, someone's paying us to use
I
energy.
mean, yeah, you guys are rolling in cash.
So you say you have a guaranteed savings of 20%. That's on the energy produced from the solar field, right?
Yes. So the guarantee is 20% on the credits that you receive, but I can't guarantee the credits that you receive because those are based on the sun, right? So
Right.
if we have a few sunny year, and your credit's gonna be pretty high, and it's just one of those lousy years where you're just cloudy every day, then your credits will be a little bit lower. But we anticipate, as I mentioned, a 1 megawatt field producing about 1.5 million kilowatt hours per year, based on historical data.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So it would have to be something unusual. And things happen, we have a solar farm out here in Colorado, and remember hearing about those wildfires a couple years ago here in Colorado? They were historic. And it took out the entire solar farm. So that all that did for the customers that were subscribers from there, they just paid their utility bills, they know they would until we could repair it. it was more of just, they just had to wait for the repairs to happen, and then pay out their credits again.
But you have no investment in it, so you haven't lost anything. I mean,
You would not lose anything, no, you just go back to being a regular electric, no. only
Yeah, the
people
owner
that
of the
lose
field.
is
the owner of the field does.
Someone came through, right, title wave came through and wiped it out would be, us and our developer, but not you.
Yeah. So this company you're partnering with, what's their name again?
Amoresco. Very large,
Amoresco.
a lot of solar farms.
Do you know where they source their solar panels from? Where do they do their manufacturing?
I don't know where these particular panels are going to be coming from. They come from all different places, sometimes Germany, sometimes the United States. I don't know what panels they're using in this requirement. But I could find that out. I mean, that's easy to find out once, if it's something to move forward with, and once we figure out what farm to go into, I can easily get that data for you.
Okay, thanks. And what about battery storage? I mean, I imagine a big place like this has a lot of batteries, right? Or is it all just right connected into the grid?
It's just right in the grid. Yeah.
Okay, so you don't do any storage, you just feed it all, okay.
If you were up, in the woods of New Hampshire, you did an off-grid system, you'd have a nice battery backup for it, but this just feeds directly into the grid.
Okay. And so I'm trying to think how that affects Eversource's operation, because I'm trying to figure out how that would affect Eversource's operation. If you have a bright sunny day, you have a ton of energy going into the grid. I imagine they have some sort of balancing system that controls.
You're going deeper than my knowledge. I don't know the answer to that, but I know that they plan for this sort of stuff. So if they're planning on 20 megawatts of solar energy coming into your grid in 2024 and 2025, they're going to plan accordingly and potentially reduce the energy source from some other angle to make up for this one. I don't know what their sauce is their system is for that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know how? So does Eversource particularly want to see developments like yours? Or are you a competitor with Eversource? Yeah, well, I'm trying to figure out the relation there. I don't know. Maybe they're eager to get these sorts of fields up. I'm not sure. Do you know?
I hope so, but truthfully, a lot of the utilities get required to have some sort of renewable energy in the mix, whether it be solar, wind, water, whatever the case may be. A lot of utilities have a mandate that they have a certain amount. I don't know what Eversource is, so you'd have to ask Eversource if they were excited or not. I haven't pushed them, so I don't know.
Okay, that's good to know.
I think it's similar to the power aggregation program. At least they comment that they don't feel competitive. They don't consider it a competitor.
Yeah. Okay.
They support it.
I think third-party suppliers that might feel a little aggregation.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
So, and if we look at Eversource in other states, Eversource in Massachusetts, gosh, we must have 17 solar farms, and they're great, and they've been great to work with, so I would assume
Yeah.
it would be great as well.
There hasn't been any data collection or billing problems in sharing data, has there? We heard this with,
Between the facility and the utility?
yes.
Oh, sometimes there's service interruptions, just like anything, like Wi-Fi or something like that at home, right? So there are blips service every once in a while, but I've never seen one be an extended issue more than, a couple hours or something like that. That's something we're notified right away because we have a live data screen, so we notice right away.
You mean more like customer data
Yeah.
being in privacy concerns? So basically, you know, yeah.
Apologies, I didn't understand what you were asking. Oh, gosh, very, very secure. I don't know what it's all called. Again, I don't get super into that aspect of things, but I know that we have the highest security of any community solar provider out there. We have an incredible IT team that's been doing this since, as I mentioned, 2009, so it's incredibly secure, and we don't do anything with your data except use it to monitor usage. We don't sell people data, we don't send lists of customers, even if someone asks me for a simple reference, I would call the municipality first before I gave them their name.
I would imagine it was more because with the community power, we were actually dealing with residents
Yeah, individual
information,
customers.
yeah, where this is all between the municipality and the
Yeah.
community, so.
Yeah, there's not as much personal information
Right.
being collected.
It's essentially just gonna be one contact for you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
We'll have multiple electric bills, but it's only gonna be really one main contact, probably gonna be, accounts payable at Litchfield
Right,
and shot or something, you know what I mean? It's not gonna be, customer data, but it's very secure, I've never heard of an issue.
but that's a good question. So you saw, cause on the data that we sent you, we have multiple bills, right? Each one of those facilities has its own bill.
Yep, and
Does
each one of those facilities would be subscribed to a certain percentage of the farm, and those credits are their share, would be attached to the bill every month, once the farm is live.
Okay. Great.
And that's very common for municipalities to have multiple bills. I'm thinking of a couple right now, and they have, the wastewater treatment facility, and they have the town hall, the library, and they have, various offices and things like that. So it's very common to have multiple bills for one customer.
Do you or the company you've partnered with, what do you receive, or do you receive anything for federal or state grants?
We don't get any.
There's nothing, no subsidies or anything like that?
The developer might, and they usually only get those if they're doing, more of a low to moderate income project, and there's some special grants that come through sometimes. But I don't know if there are any for the group program from Hampshire.
Okay.
This is a unique program that New Hampshire is doing. I haven't seen this, honestly, in other states. It's very unique, where it's limited to municipalities and public schools, or anything owned by municipality or state entity. So like a school or public school or charter school.
So do other states have it where it is open to residents or businesses?
Both.
Both. Interesting.
Yeah, for example, in Massachusetts, I could have a facility and 40% of it would be subscribed by a municipality, and the balance of it would just be area residents and, area stores, mom and pop stores, grocery stores, that sort of thing.
Yeah, my family businesses in Mass subscribe to Community Power.
Oh, there you go. Well, it works the same. The dual billing that your family business has in Massachusetts, that same dual billing situation will happen in Hampshire, because that's how they set the program up in the state.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so that it'll run exactly the same.
That's interesting. I wonder why New Hampshire did it that way.
I don't know. Some New York does consolidated billing. There's others, New Jersey, Maryland, do consolidated billing, which is a lot easier for the customer, because then you don't have to write two checks every month. You just do one.
But this is relatively new, right? So this law just passed within the last couple, yeah. So it may be expanded at some point. This may be, yeah, this may be where they started.
And our goal is to expand it once we get permission from the state, of course, right? Once there's written regulations. So let's say the land is enough space for a second solar facility. So whatever land you're on, if we could build a second solar facility adjacent to the one you're a part of, we would like to get town people involved in that facility, be right next to yours, which would be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so once that's available, we'll absolutely build more and open it up. Because I've had a lot of people interested in the state of New Hampshire as a small commercial subscriber, but I just can't place them now because the program for them. Yeah. But, it's a terrific program, and, everyone says, oh, what's the downside? Well, the only potential downside that I see, which is what we talked about in Massachusetts, is if you're writing 2 checks each month instead of 1. But the goal being that the 2 checks is still less than the one
Total.
Yeah. I just think if you're a community that has a challenge with the cost to build, I mean, granted, there are developers out there that will bill it and charge you, over a course of, or a period, for the actual development of it. Why would you want to though? Why, I mean, I'm not sure I would.
There's a couple different reasons. Some, I know that there's a few municipalities, several municipalities that are building their own community, not community, but their own solar facilities on
School.
libraries, school, what have you. And they're getting, some of them are able to get grant from the government for whatever the program is, right? So some people get a little bit of funding from the government to build those, and otherwise they, use town money to build those, and probably a 10-year payback. So, over time, even if it is good on a personal solar installation, but it does take a while to pay that money back. So you're out a lot of money up front, but if you stick with it, it should run about 20-25 years, maybe longer if you're good to it. You'll make your money back in the end, but it takes some time.
And what do you expect that time to be?
If you were to build your own solar facility, I would say it's a 7 to 10 year payback.
Okay.
We actually used to sell panels in our years and years ago. We don't do it anymore. But we did. When we first started with an ownership model. So if your group came in and you needed 500 solar panels, you would pay for those. You own them. It was about a 7-year payback. Between the credits, you don't forget the rec stuff, the energy credits, so you get those, you should be on all this credits on it.
Any more
But I
questions?
No, I think this is.
Sorry, say that again?
I think this is a better model than community solar ownership, because your ownership is also sort of tied to the whole facility, So it's, in other words, if something happens to half the facility, your share gets a little bit hurt, right? Because it's a percentage of the entire facility, even though you are an owner of, say, a set number of panels. Again, we don't do that program anymore. I think that this free program where you get 20% savings and it just costs you nothing, and you start saving right away, I think is the better model. Yeah. And my family's a subscriber. So my mom is on the cave in Massachusetts with her brother, and they're subscribers. They're enjoying it.
Nice.
In traditional solar that we did, not obviously not in that metering. We don't have that in Massachusetts. Yeah. But I mean, if you're getting a vote on aggregation, you might as well get a vote on this as well. I mean, it doesn't cost the town anything, and it can, give you an extra $6 savings a year and $120 a month. If this is doing nothing, you don't have to do anything. Just sign up and it just works in the back. Free money.
Yeah, so that's an interesting question that I haven't thought of, until you just said it. It's a long-term contract.
It would have to go.
It would have to go to the voters.
Mhm. Well, even if there's no real monetary cost to it,
I believe so. I believe anything over 5 years.
I know there's monetary, but like you would think there's like a gray area where, yeah, if it's no monetary, you can, but
But you've locked the town.
yeah, so it makes sense to have to go to voters still.
Yeah. So we already got a vote in March on aggregation.
Okay.
So our next town meeting isn't until March of 25.
I have a feeling, yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Do you guys ever do a vote in between that? Is there ever a special session that happens?
No.
Not unless it's life or death.
Not yet.
Not like for that. Understood, okay. Because I've talked with some other municipalities where it just goes to the town council and the whole town itself has a vote, but it's probably by municipality.
By form of government, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, where I'm not sure that but that would be a question I'll ask of council, of town council. It may be that an incorporated, town council model has more authority than a board of selectmen.
So
Certainly a city
The
does.
municipalities that I've worked with other states only go to, it's a town meeting, they have it monthly.
Right, oh, monthly?
And I don't know how the hell it works, but
No.
they're every month, there's a town meeting every month, so if by chance we miss, January, we just go to February.
This could be okay.
Wow.
So it happens pretty quick in other states, but
That must be like a council, I would assume.
That must be,
Yeah.
yeah,
I would
because there's
think.
no way you're having an election every
No.
month.
well, we go to the meeting, they present, and then there's a vote right there on the stage, and they vote yea or nay, and we move on from there.
It's gotta be
It
town
happens pretty
council.
quick in other states.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I'll ask town council so that we have that answer as to what the mechanism is, to approve. I know that, our school is doing a solar
roof?
project.
On roof, yeah,
roof,
on
yeah.
roof, yeah.
Okay, great, right on, okay.
It hasn't gone very well, but they're doing it.
What do you mean?
Just
Over budget. and-
over budget, delays in panels,
Delay.
delays. But it's almost to the end now.
Another bit. Program, right?
You're preaching to the choir.
I'm thinking
Worst
that.
case scenario, your start date, your live date, connection date, if you will, it sometimes gets pushed back to too. That's the worst case scenario, and you don't ever know anything, so never bring the budget on it.
Okay.
The other benefit too is not having a property is also kind of nice, right? So there are certain benefits to having a property, and there's also benefits to not having a property. And so this is another reason that's nice, roof maintenance,
Right.
replacement, hail damage, things like that.
Right.
Snow and ice.
Yeah. If you really wanna get into it, you don't have dirty energy raining down upon you either. It's on your roof, yeah.
All right, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay, anything else? Any other questions? Anything else you would like to say, Aaron?
Well, what do you guys think? Do you think this is something that the town would be interested in? I mean, if you empower aggregation, because everybody has to be involved in power aggregation in order for you to do it, right? The whole town gets subscribed to it unless they opt out. Do I have that
Right.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. This should be an easy one. The town doesn't really have to do anything. They just have to say yes, right, or no.
We just kind of went through this whole process, similar to it, in
Yeah.
the last election.
Yeah.
The only question I would think that we are going to receive is, should the town be installing their own and getting
Right.
100% of that? And I mean, that's not a decision that we can make, but I think we can certainly put forward both and the benefits of each and the, maybe non-benefits.
Now, that may affect your aggregation rate. That would be something to look into as well. Because if you're putting rooftops on several municipal buildings, which were a big part of the aggregation, I'm assuming, it's going to reduce the amount of power that you're aggregating, so it may change that rate. I don't know, I would ask a representative over there for that, if they agree. But something to consider when you are looking to install on your own roof.
Okay. I didn't think about that, but.
So, what do you think next steps would be at this point? Because I understand the vote's not until March, but you guys are going to just double check to see if this could be a council vote or a city council vote.
Yeah, so I think, if you, do you have even a standard or generic, contract that you generally use?
Yeah. Contract.
If we could get, a copy so that just our town council could look that over and see if there's anything in there that would be of any concern, legally to the town.
Yeah.
Oh, they're used to it.
Do you have a project plan included in that? A plan that we, template that we could use, that you've used in other locations or other municipalities?
What do you mean by a project plan?
Well, what's the next steps for us to perform, to get?
Well, the next step is to vote if there's interest, right? So, a lot of times what I do with groups that are interested to make sure that the capacity is paid for them, I have them sign a letter of intent, a letter of understanding that
I
says
see.
that I'm going to hold this space for you, and we're gonna say that you're not gonna shop around for something else while we work the contract. So that's
Okay.
typically my next step, and I can send that over to you if you think that is something, well, that would be something the town council would do. It's just a letter of intent signature.
Right.
Because
Just to
that's
know what to expect.
It's like a 90-day thing that says you're not gonna shop around for 90 days while I get your contract and work for that.
Yes,
Yeah.
we did that with community
Yeah.
power.
Right.
The
Yeah.
council, the city council, the selectmen voted to sign the letter of intent.
Yeah.
And
So that's usually what I do as next steps
Okay.
for municipalities or public school systems that are interested, is usually I send that over, that goes to town council, that gets signed, and then we start working through the contract. Because the legal will probably have some deadlines, that you're gonna ask us to, adjust based on the time. And we work through those. And then once we get to once the contract is signed, then you guys are locked in. So I know that there would have to be a larger vote at that point. But in the meantime, if you wanted to hold space for you in my next facility, or whatever we're going on past it, then we can do that.
Okay.
So I can send it over to you for review. I can get that to you by end of day tomorrow, Kim.
Okay, that would be great, because I think, you know, ultimately this group makes a recommendation, to the Board of Selectmen on something that we feel that may be beneficial to the town. The Board of Selectmen would have a vote whether to move forward from there, and I'll find out from town council exactly what those steps would be to move forward.
That sounds great. Okay.
All right,
Wonderful. Do guys
thank
have
you
any
so
other
much.
questions?
This was very interesting.
No, I
Very
think
helpful.
we're out of questions. Thank you.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you all so much for your time, and you guys have a nice evening.
Yep,
You
you
too.
too. Bye.
All right, take care. Bye.
Nice. Okay, so that was very educational.
It was
Yeah.
Yeah.
She'll never get our town government, but she'll be fine.
very, very interesting.
Could either cancel a few projects or change, I mean, I'm thinking of the schools.
Well, the school wanted to be 100, they wanted to be almost 100% solar. That was their whole purpose of doing what they did.
Right.
Yeah, but that was for,
This doesn't get, this doesn't get
that
them to where they need to
just
be.
may
but-
not
So
fly in this, with this situation.
yeah, the more solar we have in town, the less beneficial this is
Yeah.
going to be for us.
And that's why I was wondering, we could come up with, should they continue the process they're on? Or is this another?
Oh, they're
They're
signed,
They're done.
yeah, they're signed, sealed, and delivered. They couldn't stop
Not
if they wanted
delivered.
to.
Whether they do it to other schools, maybe not.
That's
'cause
what
they're not part of the, they're
I'm
not part of the
thinking
numbers.
of the new school,
Yep,
that, and rather than throwing,
But this doesn't get them to 100%. Again,
No.
the school's goal was to try to be 100% during the day and store to get totally off the grid. Right? Not that it's likely gonna happen, but
this may be more economical and,
right. And I'm not sure, I mean, it's 20 years. That's a long
it
time.
is, that's a long, I was surprised
It
by
is
the
a
length
long
of time
time. Yeah.
too, but.
But I'm not sure it's the town's goal to get us 100% solar,
exactly.
No.
right?
Who came up with that? The
School board.
Well, that was the school
School
board,
board,
that's the
yeah.
school board's
So, I
decision,
mean,
that's
that-
us, outside of our Billywhack, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or review.
I do like the fact that the town has really no liability. There's no maintenance costs,
Yeah.
there's no development costs, there's no construction costs.
Exactly.
There's no lease, really, just, you know what I
20
mean?
years seems a long time though.
But it
so.
does, yeah.
So I think, I'm trying to remember, the two businesses that I was referencing, I believe it's a 10-year sign-on. But there was also an escape clause. So I don't know, like, and that's the commercial business side, I don't know if there's a different thing. But,
Yeah. I mean, I know that there was quite a bit of discussion when this went through the legislature, right? I mean, this, I think, went through once, wasn't signed by the governor, and then this last time was, and it was just municipalities, so, yeah, I think they're kind of dipping their toes into this and being very careful.
Yeah. Anytime someone's offering free money, I'm wondering
You generally tend
what's
to
the
look.
catch.
Okay.
And she didn't really tell us any catch, so it just makes me a little more curious.
That's why I'd really like our council to look over a contract to see, you know, is there some fine print? We're not seeing.
Yeah, and I guess maybe I should have asked, if they're producing electricity at a particular, and they're selling it to Eversource at a particular rate that's higher than what Eversource can produce it for, how does that all work, you know? So if their
So-
operation and everything that they have to maintain and pay for costs more per kilowatt hour than what Eversource already delivers, how does that work? Are we now pigeonholed, forced into buying this more expensive electricity?
No, I may be
With the
totally
discount.
off on this, but from my last municipality in group net metering, Eversource is buying it at a lower rate, which
Yeah.
so that's how the credit gets worked in, is they're having to pay less for the
Because of the
solar.
volume.
Right, and the solar piece of it. So when you think about Eversource is just buying energy, right? They're the supply, they're the distribution.
Right.
They're not the,
Right.
so whether they buy it from another another supplier, not a community supplier, another supplier, that's a
Yeah.
cost generally higher than the solar or the group net metering.
Yeah. So I'm thinking
that's
if
how the credit gets worked in.
so, if we pledge to buy from this solar field, and then Eversource can get energy from somewhere else cheaper, we're stuck with the solar field.
Yeah, I don't think that is likely to happen.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think like, in what scenario are we on the
But-
bad end of this?
But I guess the good point to be, is there a contract between the community solar, the net metering group, and Eversource to at least buy whatever power they're generating?
Right.
Because if Eversource doesn't buy it, we're not getting our credit either, right? I
I would
mean,
assume so, yeah.
Yeah.
so there has to be, and I think that was probably laid out in the legislation
Yeah.
that said if this was going to operate, there had to be some mechanism, but
Yeah.
Attorney Driscoll is very knowledgeable in this kind of sphere.
Good.
He's worked, and of course, he was with us for the aggregation, so
Yeah.
I can certainly ask these questions to him. So just how Joe has the state kind of guaranteed that municipalities can't be hurt in this.
Okay, so we'll review, or we'll have our council review what she sends over. She said by end of tomorrow.
Tomorrow,
she can
and
get it to
I'll
you.
bring forth anything to you
Okay,
that I discover.
excellent.
I do like the idea of having everybody on the same
Yeah.
wavelength and coordination of the product to go out instead of the school using this and the library using this and
Yeah.
town offices using another model. I think there's something to be added for that, gained.
Okay, so we'll move on to the next item on the agenda here. The review of the draft contract by Community Power. So this is a 43-page contract that legal has now and is reviewing, and you said they've had it for quite a long time, which means there's
Couple
probably a
weeks.
lot of edits. So I haven't read through the entire contract, but I did notice at the end of the contract on page 41, Exhibit A, or I'm sorry, page 40. Yep, page 40, Exhibit A. They list the default program as the 10% additional green energy. So that would be one step up from the cheapest plan. And we had a long discussion and a couple of votes saying that we would be going in as the default program would be the basic plan.
Right.
So that's the one thing that I noticed reading through this that we absolutely needs to be changed. And I'm sure the attorney's
We'll find out.
aware of that.
This is just a sample too, it's not specific to.
Yeah,
It is a
it's not a
sample.
final by any
It is a
means.
sample.
I mean, yeah, one of the charts is an overlook based on what we agreed on, because you guys, they were here and I think you communicated those changes
Yes.
too, so, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And so we'll make sure that that is caught, not that I don't think Joe would catch, Attorney Driscoll would catch it, but, just to put it out there to, Standard Power and see what happens, when our lawyers, our counsel finish.
So, does anyone else have comments or anything to talk about with the draft contract?
Nope.
All right, and we'll just keep moving right along. The review of the notice from Eversource about the rate increase. So Eversource has submitted a request, what's it called? A request to reevaluate their rates.
Right, so it's a rate case filing, which they, file with the New Hampshire Public Utilities Commission. It's been 5 years since they last did this in 2019. As we all know, they put out a very low rate, the last time that has been one of the reasons that many community power plans haven't launched, because our community power would need to be a lower rate than the Eversource
Right.
rate. So a lot of towns have approved plans but been unable to launch. We did hope that these notices were supposedly sent to Eversource customers in their last bill. I haven't seen one.
I didn't see it neither. But I'm with Direct Energy for
I am
power too.
That
That's maybe why I
maybe,
didn't see it.
yeah. But I think the important piece for people to know, and they can certainly see it on our portal, or if they're interested, can stop by town hall, we'll get them a copy. If the rate case is approved, an Eversource residential customer that uses about 600 kilowatts per month would see an increase to distribution in their distribution line of about $8.42 per month. That's a 6.57% increase, based on the total bill. But what would happen in 25 is more interesting, because residents would see an additional increase in their distribution rates of $13.11 per month for 600 kilowatts. That's an increase of 9.62%. So combined, that's an increase of 16.82% over the 2 years compared to their current bill now.
Yeah, that's pretty significant.
So that may be a good reason why hopefully our community plan is able to come in, lower than that.
Yeah.
I mean, at launch, we would need to be lower than the, temporary rate. They call the 2024 a temporary rate. The
Yeah.
2025 is the permanent rate.
Yeah.
But the rate case, to my knowledge, I believe it was supposed to be heard and get some sort of clarity today. I did not see anything on the PUC website when I checked just before this meeting.
And this is just to the distribution piece of the bill,
Just
not even the
distribution.
the power itself, just.
Correct.
So everyone's gonna get this cost.
Right.
Even
So
if I was a direct, I'm gonna see the same cost increase.
Delivery.
So they get around that problem, huh?
right. So they got to go out to bid
Yeah.
and get all the bids for purchasing the, with this, and we don't know what that will be. Can't imagine that would be lower than what they receive. But-
So, what's our role in all this?
So I think this was more just information for us to know. Part of our charge was kinda to know what is happening in the market and in the industry, enough so that we can make solid decisions with our community plan.
Okay.
So I would put it aside. The next step for Standard Power and our community power plan is that they will go out and get some indicative bids,
Yeah.
probably in the next couple weeks.
Right. So I think, could we get this posted to the town website or something? Just so that more people can see it, because obviously we didn't get it with our bills, or we just didn't click on the right thing with our bills, so
Yeah.
I think having it on the town website might be nice for everybody to know. Okay, and we'll keep a close eye on that. Yeah, we may actually, once this goes through, the community power rate may easily come under the Eversource rate. So, we'll see.
Right.
Okay, we have the draft community power timeline. So we have here complete, there's 5 steps complete up to the issue of the RFP. And it says the next step is indicative pricing, the bids due from supplier. Is that still where we're at today?
That is where we're at, and so we do not have that indicative pricing. Again, once they have received that pricing, there is a very limited time. In the indicative pricing is not public information because that's not into a contract yet. So we will know. There will be some conversation on the Board of Selectmen, will be made aware. We'll have to make a very quick turnaround, and the board will either need to supply their approval or denial of signing the contract.
Are they ready for
Probably
that?
within 5 days.
They're ready for that?
They
understand
So we discussed it at the last Board of Selectmen meeting. They are aware. And then once that happens and we have a contract, the bid day, we sign the electric service agreements. They request the data and receive the customer data. Materials will then have to be sent out to both the supplier and our residents. They do have a website built. It is just waiting for those rates to come in so that they can start. But if all goes well, we would be looking at enrolling customers October 1st. If
Okay.
all goes well.
All right. Any more comments on that? So it's moving right along. You need anything?
Never know. I think when we get into letting our community know and really getting out the information to residents, there will be a number of places that we can do that. Certainly the new town website, but the library, the schools, anywhere you go, anywhere that committee members frequent. So we'll definitely be looking for your assistance with that.
Excellent. All right, and last on the list is public comment period, and seeing no one from the public here, we can just close public comment.
Next meeting. So the the new building inspector started on Monday. I know the committee has given us a charge, they're interested in some information, everything from the lights. One of the other pieces was the generators, John, at for the transfer station, and I didn't know if you had obtained any.
So we obtained the project bid back just after COVID. We never did anything with it because there was conversations about the generator here is somewhat aged out. And the thought could be is that we'd replace this one over the highway, but move this one down into the highway for a lower draw and leave it there until it kapits, right? But we haven't really piled onto that conversation. I did reach out to our vendor that we use for the fire station, which is a CAD dealer also, to get a quote on a similar system that's over there to replace this one. It's gonna be under 30 grand, but the problem is the electrical switching gear they have to come in and kind of evaluate what we currently have to see if they can use or to replace. So I'll know that probably within the next month, just to get an idea. So I was thinking about it may have to go in CIP, but it's below 50,000 still.
Right, so we were hoping we could bundle some other
Whole bunch of
projects
stuff, okay.
together to get over that 50,000.
I mean, this does need to get replaced. I mean, it's been here since the building's been in service, and it's key to the building for both police and town. And parts are getting harder and harder for them to find,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah,
you
I
know.
guess a good piece of it, sorry.
go ahead.
But to figure out if a new system
Mhm.
would provide any energy savings. I mean, I'd like to think that they're all becoming better.
Right. This is a diesel system, and so the thought was, could we take a propane system,
Yeah.
right, for cleaner fuel? The question is where you bury the tank to do it, because we have no tanks here. Oh, yeah, we don't have any tanks here. Or do we? Yeah, there's a tank back there. But it's not the capacity, so we have to bury more tanks, basically, to carry that generator. But, that may open up a can of worms. Those tanks may have to be all yanked out, because they're probably 20 to 25 years old at this point, replaced. So that would be the draw, is to do that, and just retire the diesel, where there's actually diesel fuel down there anyway, that kind of thing, keep it down there. It would be used less and under less load, which means it runs at a lower rate anyway. Here, it's actually it's not at peak, but it's close to its peak, so it really runs really hot. So, that's the thought. Now, I did work with a vendor, like I said, back then COVID, before this idea popped up, to put a sort of prosumer version down the town yards to run the gas in the highway department only. We wouldn't be able to run the recycling center. That would require a lot more power. It requires 220. That's why this would be a better idea. But then again, we can look at the cost of both and see what we can do that would work.
Is it pretty much a plug and play? Just put in a new unit, or you have to do a
No,
lot
every
of
time
wiring?
when you
and-
replace these units, you gotta replace the switching gear too,
I
because
see.
they're kind of married together. So they come as a complete package.
Okay,
And the way the highway department's wired is really kind of weird. Because there's one master pole that kind of feeds everything, but all the switchgear is outside the building. So it took an electrician a half a day or so to
Yeah.
track all the wires back to
I was
figure out
gonna
where they
say,
went.
I've got s-
Really?
So even where they would suggest we put it is out on the entrance of the facility where there's the pole, because that's where all there's a lot of switching gear right there. So that was another challenge. But that's a perfect place to put the generator too. It's actually off to the side, out of the way, because that's all self-contained. Diesel tank is right below it, so it's not it's gotta be on a pad. So it kind of makes sense to do that if we want to reuse it. It's still got life in it, it can't be a primary function, you know? If it goes here, we're out of the water. If it dies down the highway department, we can put in a temporary little one to run the highway department
Yeah.
to get going. But they haven't had one for many years, and one storm, we had to backfeed a bunch of panels to make them. We had a big, I think it was the ice storm that knocked us out for a week. So they should have one, they've always should have one.
Yeah.
So that leaves the recycling center still.
As an issue. Now, I believe this generator, and I'll have to recheck,
Nice.
Junior, you can pick it up later. He's been buzzing me all night. I think with this generator, with its capacity, it could run the crushers over there.
Yeah, that's the main concern,
Yeah.
the compactors.
Yeah, I separate the highway, to me, is an emergency function.
Yeah.
We don't have to take trash in for a week.
Right.
I mean, unfortunately, we can not, we can keep the facility closed, but.
Yeah, yeah. That was when they came in to talk about their facility, that was their primary concern. They said approximately once a year, power goes out
Yeah.
for some amount of time.
Yep.
And trash piles up,
Yeah, it's a
can't
pain.
run the
It's a pain.
compactors.
Yeah, it's a pain.
Yeah. So, even if we could get, we don't need to get a generator that powers all the buildings there and all the operations there, but at a minimum, we'd like to get just the compactors and some emergency lights.
That's pretty much their operation, though, for the most part. Those are the things that are drawing. It's the compactors, the compressors that are inside that main building.
Yeah.
And the recycling building is like just typical lights, right? That's all it is there.
You could shut that down if you had to.
Yeah, so I'll follow up with the vendor to see what it also would take to move that down there, and if we could reuse what we have here as switching gear, or we have to buy new switching gear, and what that cost looks like.
Okay, perfect.
I don't know if I'll get all of it by the next meeting, but I should be able to have at least this replacement tagged out by next meeting.
Neat.
And as far, I know in previous meetings, there are other generators around town. They're all consumer grade generators that run our communication systems. We have 4 sites. We have 3 sites that we have generators at. The 4th one is the Verizon tower, which they provide. But those are all brand new, propane fired. So, and they just, Pacific cycle for that site, those sites only.
So since John's handling that, I'll ask our new building inspector, I'll give him the quotes and the vendor that we spoke to about the lighting, and I'll ask him to just specifically handle the lighting, and I haven't asked him yet, as he's had building permits, he was kind of buried with, I'll ask him, what have you seen in your past municipalities, as to the direction, bulbs versus fixtures. And so hopefully the next meeting, we can come to you. I did let the CIP committee is well aware that the energy committee had something, that they were interested in putting together. If we had something, late July, early August, they would incorporate that in.
All right. Good. And we're on track for that.
Yes, so I think we need to, unless, maybe John, I didn't see another meeting scheduled.
I went looking, there is another meeting, there is not another meeting.
There is, okay, good.
But I think the next,
If he's double checked me, I feel good.
yeah, I didn't find one in the calendar, not on Thursday anyway. And the next one would conflict with the budget meeting, I believe.
Can't do that.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, when.
I don't need to be at budget until September.
Is there a regular scheduled, time frame this meeting's supposed to happen?
It was on Wednesdays, which got kind of pushed with economic development. So I think that's where we ran into some issues, and I don't believe it's ever been given another standard night.
No.
What we thought of doing was like tonight, because none of us would ever have to be at Heritage.
Correct.
So if we piggybacked off,
Yeah,
Heritage
we had talked about the 3rd Thursday of every month.
yeah.
Yep, so you can use the fire station. That, in July, if you're gonna do a
That's
meeting
good.
in July,
So that would be
the 18th,
the 18th.
at 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
And so would you like us to go ahead and if it's the 18th, so then the next one would be the 15th of August, the third Thursday.
Mhm.
And is that that's a Heritage Night too. Should we go and issue those, so that they're on everyone's calendars and we know?
Yeah.
I would if you're gonna be using the fire station, just because you wanna block the room, otherwise we'll give it out to other community members.
Yeah. Okay, we'll just go and book out some dates, get them out to all of you, and then at least they'll be on the website and people will be aware.
Yeah, when you go to book it on the calendar, just select the fire station room and it'll automatically accept, so it's feel set.
Okay, thank you.
It's wide open right now, so.
Perfect.
Okay.
Okay, so then our next meeting will be July 18th at 6 PM at the fire station. All right. Is there any other business? No? Then I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I have a second.
Second.
I have a motion by John, a second by Fred. Any further discussion?
It's good.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, abstain, motion passes 4-0-0. Thank you very much. Have a nice night.
John doesn't fool around and they don't get back up with John.
Yeah.